So Open Bar called me, and I've decided I'm going to close this show by doing all the jokes I've been told not to do on cruise ships. So I appreciate you guys being here for this. Generally, the longer the cruise, the older the crowd. I got flown to South America to get on for 3 days in the middle of a 55-day cruise. You know who has time to take a 55-day cruise? Really old people. The average age on that ship, no exaggeration, was 75 years old. The late show was at 5:30. I did this bit for the old people. I have an idea that might prevent some random gun violence. I think everybody that owns a gun should be required to own some marijuana and some pornography. And you have to hide all three of these things in the same place in your house. That way, if a kid ever accidentally finds your gun, he also finds stuff that's way more fun to play with than a gun. Did you hear about Billy? He found his dad's gun. Oh my God, then what happened? Then he got high, jerked off, and passed out. Now he can't remember where the gun is hidden. Something fascinating happened when I did that bit for all the old people. When I mentioned marijuana, half the crowd cheered. My host was 20 years old. After the show, he goes, Tommy, I'm surprised all these old people cheered when you mentioned marijuana. I go, the average age in this room is 75. Do the math. They're the people that invented marijuana. You want to learn how to roll a joint properly? Find a dude with a gray ponytail. Willie Nelson will share some knowledge. He's arthritic, he needs your fingers. I was on an airplane in a window seat. This woman came into my aisle. She had a dog with her. The dog was not on a leash. The dog was not in a carrier. It was just with her. The dog sat on my shoe. This lady leaned over. She goes, listen, I have emotional problems. Flying gives me anxiety. Sasha calms me down. I hope we're not going to have an issue. I said, I have no issue with this. I love dogs. So I took out my computer and I started watching porn. She said, what do you think you're doing? I said, listen, I have emotional problems. Flying gives me anxiety. Sasha calms me down. You notice my Sasha has both a collar and a leash. That position's called the emotional support doggy style. I was in line to buy a coffee. There were two young ladies in front of me, maybe 25, maybe 14. I'm not good with ages. This is the chunk of conversation I overheard. The one girl said to the other one, I'm so freaked out. I hear that people eat spiders in their sleep. The other girl goes, ooh, gross. And the first girl goes, yeah, scientists estimate, which is a great way to start a sentence, that you eat like 20 spiders in an average lifetime. That's the chunk of conversation I overheard. My first thought was, no wonder there's no cure for cancer. Scientists are busy working on this spider thing. But then it hit me, these were young people probably misinformed by the internet. Think about spiders, they're clever. They make a web, they trap food. I doubt they're mounting a nocturnal oral offensive on the top of the food chain. And if they are, how do they keep losing that battle? If you're a creature and you attack another creature while it's sleeping and that creature eats you without waking up, you shouldn't be allowed to be on the planet anymore. We should revoke your species. When I am awake, I am scared to death of spiders. Apparently asleep, I'm a warrior. Here's another reason why I'm fairly certain nobody in this room has ever eaten a spider in their sleep. I don't know if you've ever tried to feed somebody something while they're sleeping, but I have in the name of science. And my research shows they do not swallow. My wife believes my research is a waste of time. People ask me all the time, they say, does your wife ever come on the cruise ship with you? No, she's under the impression that that's not allowed. We try to make the most of our time together when I am home. She came home 3 hours late one time, no call, no nothing. You'd think I'd be mad. No, I was concerned. I had all this stuff running through my head. Maybe she got into an accident. Maybe she's in the hospital. Maybe she's dead. Where are the insurance papers? Is State Farm even open on Saturday? How soon is too soon to start dating? When she finally came to the door, I was so relieved. I said, honey, I'm so glad you're here. If I didn't have you, I don't know what I would do first. My wife and I have been making jokes like that to each other the entire relationship. We think they're funny, you know? Many years ago, we're at the movies watching the second Lord of the Rings film. It was called The Two Towers. Crowded movie theater. I start laughing right in the middle. It's not a funny part. This angers my wife. She goes, "Why are you laughing? You're embarrassing me." I say, "I just realized the one ring that rules them all looks just like a gold wedding band. And the little fella's on a journey to get rid of it. The longer he wears it, the sicker he looks. Good luck, Frodo." If your spouse dies before you, they call you a widow or a widower. I don't like those words. I think if your spouse dies before you, they should call you the winner. If you could sit right next to them and both laugh at that, that's a strong marriage right there. You're going to make it till one of you dies. Comedy's changed a lot in the last 30 plus years that I've been doing it. You guys have been, some of you have been comedy fans even longer than that. Stuff that used to offend people all of a sudden doesn't. Stuff that used to not offend people all of a sudden does. The first time I got one of those complaints on a cruise ship, this is the bit that caused the heckle that created the story that started the complaint. I'm going to do all of them for you. This was the bit, though. I was fortunate. I got invited to travel overseas and perform on Navy bases for some of our deployed troops. That's a cool thing when you get to do it. Now, when I was there, the policy for gays in the U.S. military was something called don't ask, don't tell. Since I've been there, we voted to change that, and after spending time on the base, I think we should change it to don't ask, but you can kind of tell. 20 years ago, that was the most offensive joke in my act. The first time I did that joke on a cruise ship, a guy stood up in the middle of the room, said, "That's just in the Navy. I'm in the Army. We don't have any of them," and stayed standing. I'm thinking, this is uncomfortable. I better say something. So I said, "First of all, thank you for your service. Secondly, I don't know if you know, if you served in any branch of the U.S. military, you probably served next to a gay guy who was hiding that fact for fear of persecution. But as far as I'm concerned, if you put your ass on the line for my safety, what you shove into that ass in your own free time is your own damn business." Now, he sat down, let me finish the show. After the show, he bought me a beer, and then we made out. I'm kidding, we had sex, but there was no kissing. He said, "No kissing." I said, "But the ship's at sea." He said, "That's just in the Navy." So the heckle really happened. I started performing that heckler story right there, and it was the story that got the complaint, you know? But the cool part about the big corporation, they write out the complaint, they print it out, and they give it to me. I have documentation of every single time I've offended somebody over the last 20 years. And this complaint had the F word in it 10 times. I'm not going to use it for this. I might use it later. You guys will get it without it. This was my favorite line. He said, "I didn't like having the mental image in my head of that comedian effing a member of the military." And my response to that was, "Thanks for thinking I was on top." I mean, look at me. This has bottom written all over it. The second complaint I got is particularly embarrassing for me. I'm supposed to be the PG comedy guy. Every now and then I write a joke. It's got no bad words in it. I try it first in a show that's supposed to be clean. That's what happened with this one. I have a cleaning lady that comes to my house once a week to straighten stuff up. Midsummer, she didn't show up. You know why? 4th of July. My cleaning lady took the 4th of July off. If I wanted a cleaning lady that was going to take the 4th of July off, I would have hired a citizen. The complaint I got about that bit was a simple one. The person wrote, "I didn't appreciate the joke the comedian did about his Mexican housekeeper." I didn't say she was Mexican, did I? All I said was she wasn't a citizen. If you pictured a Mexican, your thoughts are racist. I'm offended by you. Truth is, she's from Canada.